Donkey Kong 64's DK rap started as a joke between the game designers, but eventually it made its way into the real game, and we're all happy it did. I'm assuming you're gonna cut yourself out and not be in the video. Anyway, welcome back to Professional Casual Gamers, a podcast where two friends kick back after a long work week and casually talk about everything gaming. I'm your host, Alex, joined by my co-host and demon of the dance floor, Ralph. How's it going, man?
I'm good. How are you doing, Alex?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm like trying not to laugh. So while I was
I gave you energy.
While I was reading the fun fact, Ralph was like, maybe he was practicing some of the dance moves he's gonna do later on. So yeah, Ralph has a wedding later today, and I figured he's just gonna be tearing up on the dance floor. So I felt like that was a fitting name for today.
Dude, I should have taken tomorrow off. I'm gonna be so tired.
You didn't take tomorrow. Oh man.
Trying
You're gonna get back around like 1 a.m. or something. Maybe.
Dude, we have a 3-day weekend next weekend.
That's true for 4th of July. Yeah.
So I have that, and then like I'm planning on taking like 2 weeks in September. So
That's true.
Trying to not push it.
The curse of working in America and having that bound work culture, I guess.
Yeah. But we have Molly's wedding tomorrow, so shout out to them. They're definitely not listening to this podcast.
Hey, they might. If you tell them that.
Like, hey, we shouted you out on the podcast.
So what's one song that'll like get you going crazy on the dance floor? Besides Mr. Brightside.
I was gonna say Mr. Brightside. What do you call it? I don't know why, and I know people like don't like him anymore, but like
Is it Imagine Dragons?
No, I'm like really into Macklemore's Can't Hold Us. So like when that goes on, like when that plays, I kind of go nuts, dude, and I just go crazy on the dance floor. So
that's a good one, right? When the ceiling can't hold us, and everyone's like, yeah.
No.
Nice.
How about you? Other than Mr. Brightside, what's the? Is it Mulan? Make a band?
Oh my god! I was gonna say you already know. So Ralph and Sam got married this past January, or like it was like a vow renewal, I guess, this past January. And then I specifically had to make sure that Mulan's "Make a Man Out of You" was played, and I went in.
Yeah.
There's probably footage of me going in.
Oh no, we definitely do. We have it. I think it's on the wedding video, so it's.
And I see a tail wagging back there.
It's Viv. They're just chilling. Sam was up at like 6 a.m. today at the hotel. I'm watching the dogs right now. And they're getting their makeup done.
She's standing at the wedding?
Yeah, she's standing. So, but yeah, that'll be super fun. But like at my wedding in January, because Alex turned on Make a Man Out of You, he essentially started a Disney block so that everyone started. Yeah. It's like, can't be a good wedding if there's no Disney block at the wedding.
Yeah, it was just the Disney block. Yeah, you told me there wasn't Disney block, so I made a Disney block.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we had like a few no plays at the wedding, but we told the DJ, hey, like pick up any like songs that the guests want to play, and Alex kind of just took that to heart and went in.
Like, oh, you're gonna learn today.
Oh man, how are you, man?
It was good. I've got my tea. It's not boba tea. So what was funny was I went with Cone. I was hanging with Cone yesterday.
Yeah.
The unofficial third member of the podcast.
Oh, he'll be here next week. I'm gonna manifest it in the.
Yeah, we got a long weekend to figure it out.
Yeah. Oh, Alex froze.
So yeah, we got some Arby's.
You're totally freezing, dude.
Okay, that's funny because you were frozen on mine. So, anyways, I think we're good now.
Okay.
So we got some Arby's and boba tea, which is the American combo. They have the
Arby's.
Undeniably, they have the meats. Anyway, so as I was getting this, I'm like, oh yeah, so can I get like this flavor and then like the tapioca balls? And as I said that, he put up a sign and hung it on the window saying, "We're out of tapioca." And then just like looked at me dead in the eyes. I'm like, guess I'm not getting that. So I don't know if you can really see it.
Oh, those that's what do you call it? That's like gel. It's like mango gel.
Yeah. So I've never gotten it. So I was like a little like apprehensive about it.
You're like, I don't like to try new things.
Yeah, dude, I'm set in my ways. No, I honestly with food and drink, I'm like usually really adventurous for better or for worse.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, what's something that tastes like the most similar to the tapioca? And he's like, well, there's these like coffee flavored jellies. I'm like, sure, let's do that. And honestly, so I got one last night and I got one for today. The coffee jelly is awesome. Like, I'm definitely gonna do that moving forward because the tapioca doesn't really have a flavor. It's just like texture. I feel like.
No, I at least the tapioca that I've had, man, it depends on where you go. They're typically sweet. There's like this weird like, maybe they're not mixing it correctly. There's like, I think the tapioca themselves is just like a very subtle like sweet, but there's like
it's really subtle, but the texture, right?
Yeah, and then there's like this, I don't even know what to call it, like a weird like gel that holds it together, like a liquid, and it's like super sweet. I don't know what it is.
I need to get the tapioca you're getting. Anyways, the one I usually get is usually like, yeah, it's really subtle, but mostly like it's nice to chew on, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
But this is just really flavorful, and I honestly think I like it more.
Hell yeah, man. No, it's because they infuse them with flavor, so that's gonna be super good.
Just inject them with but cool. So Ralph, I have some exciting news for you.
Oh God.
We are officially YouTubers.
What do you mean?
You know why?
Why?
We got a copyright claim.
Are you serious? Yeah. No, we did not.
Yeah. I saw that as I was uploading last week's video. So 2 episodes ago, we got the copyright claim. And I saw it, and it's like, oh, it's neat, because like, I've heard YouTubers talk about this.
It's like, neat that we got a copyright claim.
I wanted to save this for like the episode so I can get like your canned reaction on that.
I'm floored. Are you serious?
Yeah. So 2 episodes ago, we got the copyright claim. And it shows you, like, okay, during this minute to this minute, like, that's, like, whatever's in contention. And it wasn't the Last of Us footage. It wasn't, like, you know, whatever, like, the Breath of the Wild footage. It was the Stranger Things. Like, that trailer that they have, like, because it wasn't even, like, the actual episode. It was just, like, the recap, I think you're playing. Not even, like, the actual episode. So, Netflix, of all people, gave us the copyright claim.
Is our
not
channel,
Nintendo,
is our channel getting shut down? What's going on?
No. So it's funny because they were like, "Oh, this video can't get monetized," and I'm like, "Joke's on you!"
Don't get monetized anyway. That's so funny.
Yeah, I saw that and I honestly just like chuckled myself. It's a good time. Man. So maybe when we hit 1,000 subs, like we'll go back.
Wow,
and, like,
aiming
high.
I
guess like we'll just delete like that minute of footage, I guess we have.
In my head, I'm just like, man, I wish we could get 100 views. Like, and then you're over here, when we get 1,000 subs.
Well, we're already a third of the way.
Yeah.
To 100. So yeah.
Hey, our first video back had like 58 views. So I mean, I'll take that. A couple of people from my work keep on asking me for the link for the podcast.
Really?
Yeah, like
got out to the road company squad. Let's
I don't
go.
know, man. I feel awkward. I don't want to send it over to them.
We're good. We talk well about the game. We play it. It's cool.
Yeah, I guess maybe. I'll send it over. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I showed like a couple of my coworkers. They were like, "Wow, this is pretty good." I showed them like the fast food episode or the Halloween candy one. I don't remember.
Well, these are like better produced. We have face cam. Why not this one?
Yeah, because those are just fun. Which we're definitely gonna do another mini-sode soon. Maybe next week. Who knows with Conan? That'll be a good time for it.
Oh, dude, I can't wait for Game of the Year. I think Game of the Year will be so much easier to record this way.
Oh man, yeah. I need to play more games, which is a great segue into
Death Stranding.
Keeping us busy. Start off.
Death Stranding. What is it? What's the new one? Death Stranding Director's Cut. For some reason, it's a Director's Cut.
For the PS5, yeah.
Hideo Kojima. I'm a believer, dude. If you've been listening to the podcast, I was talking so much shit about Death Stranding, talking about how it's so stupid and like why would anyone play this. I kind of get it.
You just track for it's just like fetch quests. That's the game.
Do you want to explain Death Stranding to people before I kind of go in?
I mean, okay, so from my understanding, you play as essentially Norman Reedus.
Yeah.
And you're set in this post-apocalyptic world, and
Sam
you need
Porter
to,
Bridges, what a fucking name.
Sure, yeah, exactly. Very I've heard everything is ham-handed in that game, like for like the conception of like Americans, like, hey, we need to spoon-feed you these metaphors in order for you to understand. Anyway, so it's like this post-apocalyptic America, and everything's like disconnected from each other. So Norman Reedus is going from point A to point B and like building physical and metaphorical bridges across the land so everyone could like be connected. I need to carry around like this Jenga tower on your back and like make sure it's like balanced while you're walking.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't know, like there's something so rewarding about it for some reason for me. Like I know that sounds so strange, but like
Just
so
sipping my boba, shaking my head.
so as Alex was saying, it's yes, it's very like ham-fisted like story, like it's a really pretty game. I'm really into the music that
Yeah.
they picked. The music is fantastic in the game. I think that's super cool. And at first I'm like, I don't know why I'm playing this, but then as I kept on doing it, like for some reason there was something that was like clicking in my lizard brain that said this
Smooth
is like
brain.
yeah, like there's something about this. Like I think so. What happens is like so you go into like a distribution center, and that's like the story. I'm like, hey, like we need this package sent over to like this mountain, and then like
Okay.
if you send it to this mountain, they'll connect into our network, and then you'll start seeing other people's structures in the game, right? So you go to this mountain. It's like a pain in the ass to like climb. You're like trying to balance like this package on
Jenga
your
tower.
back. Yeah, the Jenga tower on your back. Like then there's like these scary like things called BTs, which are like beach things. Essentially, they're like ghost. Yeah. So like
Just imagining like the BTS squad just rolling up, like, "Hey, Norman Reedus, we're gonna
right.
get you."
So then there's there's areas on the map when it starts raining, like there's like ghosts that show up and try to like drag you. So like as you're like struggling to like deliver
Unite
this
America.
package, there's these ghosts, and it's really clever because you don't actually see them, but you have this machine that like flickers like as you're close. So like if the ghost is on the left side, it'll flicker this way. It's slow, but if you're getting closer, it'll start flickering really fast, and then it'll just
Does
glow.
the side of the DualSense
I don't know.
also flicker?
I think I'm just like super focused that I don't want to get caught, and so then like if they're like like next to you or behind you, like the thing will start moving because there's multiple ghosts in the area, BTs in the area that'll drag you into like the floor and kill you, and so that happens. And then once you get there, and then you leave, and then you deliver the package, the NPC is like super grateful or whatever. I don't really care about that, and then they get connected to the chiral network, which is essentially the internet. So
Cool.
the difference between their version of the internet is that it allows you to build stuff and see other people's buildings, like I don't know, magic, whatever, like technology or things.
I like magic.
But you finish that, and like there's a interesting loop to me because once you deliver that, this person can ask you to deliver something back to where you initially came from, right?
Okay.
But because it's connected to the chiral network at that point, that trip is significantly easier because you can start seeing other players' stuff in the game. So then when
Like
you
human players.
right, human players. So like let's say you have like this giant package and then you have to go through like the mountain again. But then because they're connected to the chiral network, you start seeing other players' stuff. So instead of like climbing and walking, now there's like a rappel, like a rope rappel that you can just grab instead of climbing down the mountain like physically and struggling, and nothing breaks. And then like that BT area, like where the ghosts are, someone may have made a bridge like on it, so that instead of going through that area, you can just climb through the bridge and avoid it entirely. So then it's like it's like an interesting way to kind of reward you for like going in, and then it also teaches you, hey, maybe I should do stuff for other players, so that it makes their trip easier, right? So like what I'll see is that like sometimes you'll get like the skeleton frame that uses batteries or like energy or like power, and then like you'll go to an area of like, oh man, this is the end of my trip, and then I don't have power for my like skeletal frame anymore, so I can carry more stuff. So I'm thinking, hey, maybe I'll build an energy station here so that they can recharge at the end of their trip, and then they'll have an easier time to go back instead of like not being able to do another package, right? So like
Yeah, so I will say the idea of it being so communal and like you're not only like just playing the game, but like you can have an impact on
Right.
other people. It kind of has like that Elden Ring like Souls effect, like leaving messages behind. But this is like way more
It's like way
poignant.
more I thought about that initially too. Like, oh, it's like very Elden Ring, like there's an invisible wall here, or like, hey, like watch out for enemy there. Like imagine that, imagine those what do you call it? Those notes, no troll notes, right? So no one's
Yeah.
trolling you. And then two, it's significantly more valuable because like there could be instances where you're like, "Oh shit, I'm like out of battery for my like my skeletal frame." And then like somewhere down the horizon like, "Oh god, thank you. Someone left a power station here, so I don't need to struggle
Hmm.
to like get back." And like the other thing too is like as you move forward to the game, which I kind of love, is that you kind of have to think of and plan like, oh, if I go to this like distribution center and then I go into this like hideout and then I go to this other distribution center, you can like plan ahead of time because if you're heading to like point like D, like if you're doing A B C D and then you're going to D anyway, you're picking up multiple orders from point A because you know you're going to end up in D. But what makes it difficult is that sometimes you just don't have enough room. Like you can't physically like hold like big packages. Like yes, you can get this massive Jenga tower, makes it really tough. But even though like you can carry that weight, there's also like a physical requirement to it. You can't like you just can't. And like at one point you need to carry things with your hands. You need to attach things to your body. And at one point you can't even do it, and you need to like get like a truck or like a motorcycle, and you put stuff on the truck and the motorcycle. And like it's
I
a
didn't know you get a vehicle. That's cool.
right. So like it's really interesting because like not only are you struggling trying to deliver and figure things out and how to deliver things, you also are trying to. It's super rewarding when you can do 5 different orders at the same time. I told Sam it's like you know that like experience when you go grocery shopping and you're
Okay.
like, can I do this in one trip? That's kind of the sense of like that's like
I'm
the
a one
feeling.
trip guy
Yeah, like so
all
like
day.
that sense of reward, like rewardingness, like you feel rewarded when you're like, fuck, I did that on one trip and it's really fucking great. Like it's always like that feeling when you play the
The
game.
amount of reward I get for one tripping like grocery bags is very minimal though.
Right. So that's correct, but it's also like instead of like grocery bags, it's just like, oh, you're just physically trying to do it. But for this way, you're trying to do it and you get that sense of reward, but it's also like a puzzle of like, hey, like in order to go to this trip, I plan this, and then I need to bring this one piece of equipment that'll allow me to build an energy station, so like just in case I run out of energy, what do you call it? I can go in here and like if I run into BTs, I need to make sure I have grenades so that I can kill the ghosts. Like it's yes, there's like it's I feel like saying it is like it's like a delivery simulator, but it's so much more than that, and it's super reductive. And I see your face, and you're like, this sounds so stupid. I felt the same way until I started playing it. I don't think this game is for everyone. Like I
Now you're a
genuinely,
believer.
yeah, like I genuinely believe like like people like this is just not gonna click for people. I've never played a Hideo Kojima game, and I get it. Like it's so weird. Like I can't really like explain like why I get it and what makes it click for me, but like I like the story is kind of whatever. It like makes no sense, but like there's it just feels really rewarding for some reason when you deliver packages like and time just goes by super quickly. Like there's so many like
One of those
interest
games.
yeah, and like there's just so many interesting like small details that like make it interesting. Like for example, like there's this trailblazer system where everything in the world should technically just be like rough terrain or whatever. But if multiple players take the same route, right? Like cuz you
Okay.
can approach a route any way you want. If
Yeah.
multiple players take the same route, it'll start smoothing out the terrain for that area so that it causes like a dirt road and it starts clearing up. And then if players start noticing that like, oh, this is a route people usually take, they can build actual roads on there.
And then you can just ride the motorcycle.
Right, and then if you ride the motorcycle on a road, it doesn't use battery. So now you don't need to use energy stations. It's like there's so many like interesting domino effects of like how you can assist different people.
Well, it looks like there's a lot of layers to it.
Right.
Which
so
is
like,
cool.
Yeah.
So
like,
I guess my thing is I just feel like when I was watching the gameplay and like reading about it, I just feel like the actual like game loop, I wouldn't have fun. Do you have fun playing this game?
I think so. Like,
why do you have to think about that?
No, like I think so. Like, I mean, it's also like the same thing of like saying like, hey, do you have fun like getting shit on in a third person shooter? Like, do you know what I mean? Like
playing Rogue Company,
right? No, or like, do you have fun playing a horror game? Like I don't know.
People
like,
probably do. I don't like playing horror games.
Right, but like it's. I think there's like like I definitely do have fun. It's a different type of fun. Like it's a different type of gaming fun, and I just don't really know how to explain it. Like, it kind of scratches that itch where you plan and where you plan and you kind of set up your characters in RPGs. I think like that's the best way for me to explain it. Like there's something super interesting and super rewarding. Is that fun for me? I think so. Like, you know, like what do you call it? Like setting up a meta for yourself or like planning out your characters and creating builds for your characters. To some people, like that's just you going through menus and like optimizing your equipment and like that's kind of like what it is. Like I think that's
like,
the best way
like
for
a
me.
Kerbal Space Program or something like that.
Right, like essentially like oh, like I have these 7 different swords from Elden Ring, and then like you're going through stats and whatever, and like you're planning stuff out. Like to one player, like to some people, like that's not something like rewarding or interesting, but like I think that's the best way for me to explain it to you. Like you're like planning stuff out, you're building up like your equipment, you're like, oh, this helmet gives me extra like magic, or like this suit of armor is not too heavy so that I'm not over encumbered, or like, and then like this River's a blood weapon allows me to use a bleed build and like build that up, and I'm super strong and I'm increasing my smithing stones. Like the majority of the game I feel like feels like that. And then when you go and deliver things, it feels like when you one-shot an enemy in Elden Ring because your build is super optimized. Like, I think that's like the best way.
An interesting analogy.
Yeah, I think that's the best way for me to explain it to you, for someone who hasn't played, like, what do you call it, Death Stranding, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think
I want to watch you play it. Maybe
it's hard. I don't think the game shows well. Like, I think that's the problem. Like, I don't think the game shows well. I think it's one of those games where you need to, like, sit and, like, play it for, like, an hour or two. Like, I don't think you need to play an extended amount of time on Elden Ring like some other games. Like, I think you need to play it for an hour or two. And then just do it. And then if it clicks for you, it will. If it doesn't click for you, then it's not your game. Right? Like, because, like...
Yeah.
It like the game's pretty and like it's super cool and like the world is kind of interesting and it's stupid, but like what do you call it?
Just so many feelings.
It is like I think that's why this game
funny.
is super divisive. Like I don't know if like he is just kind of like talking like, oh wow, I made this like this new type of game, like this new genre, like that always bugs me when like, oh, I built this Strand game and it's not something that's ever been made or whatever. Like there's definitely other aspects of other games in this like Strand game, like
right.
Like it reminds me of like an evolution of the Dark Souls like notes and like helping like that community based like system from Dark Souls and Demon Souls. But like it is much more valuable, so that's really cool and interesting. Like I think the reason I like this game so much is because I play a lot of games. And what I mean by that
Okay.
is that certain games,
I think I know where you're going
yeah,
with
like
this.
certain games start feeling really samey, and like the systems, and oh, this is like what they did for like what do you call it, like Assassin's Creed, and like oh, like this is kind of like a different iteration of what they did for like Spider-Man or Horizon Zero Dawn, or like these are like the weapons they use in Ratchet and Clank or things like that. It just feels different, and like I had to change my mindset of how I like played the game. And so I think that's why I like it so much, because honestly, like when we were talking about like doing the podcasting, and I was a little bit worried because, oh man, like I've been kind of going through a gaming funk. I keep on looking through sales, and like I kept on asking
Same.
you like, what should I play? Like, and like this is just so different from what I normally play, like RPGs or shooters or whatever, that it really like got me, because it just felt different, it was interesting, and it like gave me a different sense of reward playing it. So I kind of want you to play it and just try it out. You have like, it's super cheap for you to get the PlayStation Plus Extra right now, so like
Right, and it's on there.
right.
Yeah, that was a pretty good pitch, not gonna lie. A lot of people say that the best part of Death Stranding is when you beat it, and then like looking back on it. So if you like it now, I'm curious to see what your thoughts will be after you finish it. Yeah, you spent a lot of time talking about that, which is good,
Oh, no.
because I don't have that much to talk about at all. I did not play any Breath of the Wild. I wanted to, but then I just watched like 40 episodes of One Piece. I did play League though, so my friend slash coworker, he's in charge of this like LGBTQ plus League circuit. So he invited me to play on there, and I was a little like nervous about it, because like I'm not really a part of that community. I don't really know anyone in that community. But he's like, hey, it's okay. Allies are welcome. Like, I think you'd have fun with this. I'm like, okay, like I'll take your word for that. So I tried it out. It was really fun. It was just nice, just like.
Are they just like
bantering.
custom games, or how does that work?
They set up like 3 games every Tuesday. They plan. I think like I'll be with a different team next week as well. Just kind of like it's not like anything like super competitive. It's like, hey, let's just like get a bunch of people. Let's play League together. Yeah, it's all about like positivity, no toxicity, just like having fun, like trying some stuff out, playing with, people that you trust and like are safe with. So it was a lot of fun. Like I didn't know anyone in there besides my coworker, and we weren't even on the same team, but like everyone was like really like positive, helpful, like just like down to just like make friends and have a good time. So it's weird playing League and like feeling good about yourself afterwards. Like everyone was like so chill, just like joking around. So I had a great time doing that again this upcoming Tuesday.
Yeah.
Just 3 games, so it's very manageable to do that. So yeah,
Just
I had
3
a good
games.
time with it.
It's like 80 hours.
What?
It's like 80 hours, just 3 games.
Yeah, right. Some of them, I think the longest one we did was like 43 minutes, which is actually pretty long for League. Because they're normally like 30 minutes.
I remember the days where you could go and do a game and play for 2 hours, because both teams were turtling.
Yeah. Oh man, like back in the day.
Yeah.
The game has changed so much. Like it's kind of cool to like reflect on that stuff. So.
Are you gonna pick up Game Pass so that you have the entire roster unlocked?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I have most of the roster unlocked anyways.
Even the new ones?
I think I need like 3 champs.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know, and I took like a year or 2 off.
Yeah.
I just had like so much of like the blue essence, like the in-game currency.
Yeah.
That I was able to buy them. But like if Valorant comes to console, I'm probably definitely gonna be trash at it, but I want to try it. So maybe that'd be a reason like pick up.
I don't know if like you would get the perks from Valorant on console if you don't play it on Xbox though. Like I'd be very surprised if
it might work like that.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Like I would be very surprised if you got the free stuff on PlayStation, but I don't know if they have their own like login system.
If that was like a cross progression. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, if they have cross progression, then it should be fine because they have their own login system. So.
Right. But yeah, I've been itching to like to get an Xbox, like a Series X. So we can kind of move into the news now. But what we did include was, so I saw this stat that like this last week, the Xbox Series X and S like outsold the PS5 in Japan.
Yeah.
Like 2.5 to 1.
Well, it's because you can get one.
Right. And a lot of it is just like the chip shortages,
right?
Like the supply chain issues, which are hitting harder, it looks like Sony. But then they looked like the month before the PS5 outsold the Xbox like 3-1.
Right.
So this is just kind of like an outlying situation.
It's all about like optics. What sounds great, like, oh yeah, we outsold PlayStation. Like, what's the PR team gonna use? Like,
right. It's a great headline.
Yeah.
For sure. And then you read the article, which I did, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. This is like a one-off.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still nice. Like, I think a lot of that is like people recognize Game Pass as like a huge selling feature, which is the point.
I think that's a huge deal because like I don't necessarily think it's like, oh wow, like Xbox is winning in Japan for like in the console war or whatever.
Not at all.
I think it's more so that like I think it's a win because Xbox does not do well in Japan. Like they have historically done terribly in that market. And
like
the fact
all of their like Xbox 360 and like Xbox One all did like
like remember when like Xbox had like Blue Dragon as an exclusive?
They tried,
and that was just for like, hey, like we're trying to get Japanese people into Xbox, like.
But they got me.
Yeah, but like essentially like, with that it just says, oh, the Japanese market is kind of like feeling this, right? And I think additionally to that, like they're getting Persona on Xbox, like they're getting all of these different things, and like it's an easier sell because like the Xbox Series S is what, like $200, $250.
I think 300
because it's the lower end model, like
and
like it's an easier sell, and if you get Game Pass, it's like it's a no brainer, like
I have to say I don't think I've ever seen like a Series X. Obviously, I haven't seen a PS5 just like at like ready to buy at like a Target, Walmart, Best Buy. But every time I go into Costco, and this has been the case for like the past year, like every other week I go, I can get a Series S.
Yeah, because I think
like they're just there.
I think the chipset is just different, right? Like
it's gotta be something like that,
for sure.
So I'm every time I walk by, I'm like, I could do that. I could get a Series S. I can get Game Pass. Yeah,
but then your lizard brain's like, but the graphics.
I know. It's locked at 1440p, and I would plug it into my TV probably. So, I don't know. I would probably get a Series S.
If you got a Series S, like I don't think you would have a terrible time if you plugged it onto your PC. Like if you just plugged it in as your monitor and use it as like your PC platform. Like it's a smaller screen. You're not gonna notice like the 4K as much, because like if you play games on like your Switch, like they run at 720p and they look great. You know what I mean? Well, great is relative, but like.
Yeah, so I think my biggest thing is the frame rate. Like this monitor right now, like it is a 4K, but I'm pretty sure it's locked at 60. So I would want 120 because like the Xbox can like especially like the VRR is like built into it.
Yeah, for sure. I've thought about getting an Xbox, but I have the PC, and I've already pre-ordered the Steam Deck, so hopefully
there's no need.
There's no need. Yeah.
You should get the Xbox fridge.
Sam told me that I should get a mini fridge in the office, and I was thinking maybe I should get this Xbox.
That would get. I kid you not, your Xbox fridge will get more use than if you got a Series X.
Yeah.
But so just a little bit of League, just a lot of bit of One Piece, and so I'm in new territory with One Piece, so like it's great now, just like everything I haven't seen before, so it's awesome. But so Xbox is doing well in Japan, that's awesome, and let's move into some of the actual news we got. So PlayStation will be skipping out on Gamescom this year. Sony revealed that it won't be attending Gamescom this year, while also confirming that there wouldn't be any PlayStation-based announcements. So not only are they're ditching out on Gamescom, but there's no State of Play as well, which is
at Gamescom or leading up to Gamescom, because like they could potentially still announce stuff in July.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So Gamescom is end of August.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll push something out in September, maybe next month in July. But just like the time window of Gamescom, I guess they're not having like a State of Play.
Yeah, because
like for E3 they always had like a State of Play.
It does, because I think last year they did one in July. Because it doesn't make sense to me, at least, to just do the third party stuff. As much as people liked that what do you call it, that State of Play, it doesn't make sense for me to that they didn't just release pricing or a release date for the PSVR 2. and they haven't discussed anything for like God of War or any other projects that are coming in the future. And so like, or even like discuss like a mic drop of like this would be crazy if they're like, hey, like God of War Ragnarok gonna be on PlayStation Plus Premium. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like I feel like it doesn't make sense that they haven't done one of those yet, and I just expect them to potentially just do it either like in July or August, because in like what everyone's been saying is that God of War's not slipping and it's releasing this year. So
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say October.
yeah,
So Rip Forspoken, which people have like already forgetting about, which is a Square Enix fault.
I
because-
like Forspoken.
No, I think it looks really cool, and I would buy it. It's just they're not talking about it at all.
I guess it's because they weren't at E3 this year, right? Like
They were at E3. There wasn't even a showcase for like on the state of play.
right,
or,
like they were.
about
I think
party.
they were more so focused on, hey, like there's a Final Fantasy VII game coming out this year. Like I think that was like the main thing. Like you don't know if like for all we know, like Forspoken might be at the state of play. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it might be. It might even get delayed to next year with how.
I hope not. I really do want to play Forspoken.
Yeah, it already got delayed.
I was hoping that was gonna come out this May, and like May was super light. Like nothing came out like after Elden Ring. Like I feel like everyone was like dying.
Yeah. But Sony joins a list of other studios not attending, such as Nintendo, shocker, Take-Two, and Activision Blizzard.
Yep.
Microsoft has not made a decision yet, but I would, given, other people aren't showing up, I would kind of be surprised if Microsoft was there. Just seems like it's a lot of effort, a lot of money down the drain, because Gamescom is doing a hybridized show. It's part digital, part physical. And I tried to like research what that exactly meant for Gamescom, and they didn't have any details. So it might be like, hey, people in the industry, like with those specific passes, maybe they're allowed on the show floor one day.
Right.
Attendees another day, and then like everything else is digital. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, Gamescom is predominantly European, right? So like,
yeah, it's in Germany.
Right. So like, I'm not too familiar with everyone's studios yet, but like, what do you call it? Guerrilla is like the big one that would be European, but they just released Horizon Forbidden West, and I don't think they need to show that. But like, Xbox has a bunch of European studios that have a lot of projects that are being like floated around, right? Like they have Codemasters that are working on Fable 3 or Fable 4, like the newest Fable.
I think it's just Fable.
Yeah, like Fable, and then like
they're like, forget about the recent games, just we're starting new.
Yeah, so like Fable and like all of those different studios there, like Activision Blizzard, I don't think has like any big studios that are European.
They've confirmed they're not.
Yeah, so I think Ubisoft will be there potentially. Like there's still a lot of different things that like there's a lot of different places that we haven't heard from that typically would be at Gamescom. But granted, like the way COVID have shifted things, like it's really tough to kind of figure out like if it's worth it. Like, yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah, obviously, like in America, there's like huge surges. I don't know how it is in Europe.
Right.
I would imagine pretty similar, but so Ralph, is this question is an indication for how gaming conventions will be moving forward, or is this a one-off incident for 2022?
I think 2022 is a very not mid. Sorry, I hate using that term. I think
2022 is mid.
Like I think 2022 is a stopgap to hopefully what will be 2023. Where things have started opening up, like technically we're not in a pandemic anymore. The majority of the population has had either COVID or have been boosted, or like like it's not like we're not gonna overflow like medical facilities because of the virus. Like with that in mind, I'm thinking, because you have to plan for these like years in advance, right? Like a year out, you typically plan for it. And so, like as much as a general consumer would be familiar with like, oh, Gamescom is awesome, there's a lot of logistical things that you're not really considering, right? Like
Yes.
who, like which employees are you sending? Like, do they have visas? Like, are they vaccinated? What do you call it? Like, how far are the teams along with the what you want to show?
Yeah,
Like,
the product,
right,
setting up
like
the booth space, where
right,
it's gonna
like are you
be.
doing an internal cinematic, or are you like using a third party who's doing the screenshots? That's just
Mhm.
like the game stuff. And then you're thinking about like, all right, how are we going to send out like dev kits to the location so that people can try out different games? Do you have a build for press? Like, then you have, is it, if it's a consumer focused show, like how many stations are you going to have? How many Xboxes are you bringing? How many PlayStations are you bringing? What monitors do you have? If it's a consumer facing show, like how much signage are you buying? Like any swag? Are you selling any swag? Because like that's how you engage with different things. There's so many different
Yeah,
things.
there's
Like,
a lot of moving parts
right.
that
So like
all need to be there on like these 1 or 2 days.
right. So like then you like as a person like on the marketing side, then you have to convince your leadership, hey, we need to do X, Y, and Z to execute on this, but we don't know what the return will be because we don't know what attendance is going to look like because of COVID. And then that's kind of the problem, right? Like
I would love to know like the ROI on like a total in-person show, like back a few years ago when there wasn't COVID versus like these pure digital electronic shows, like
right.
what the difference is the cost actually worth it? Because like from a consumer standpoint, like yeah, dude, I totally want convention to
Right.
return. We talked about it ad nauseum, like E3 versus Summer Games Fest, just like on the consumer side, but on the business side, I'd love to know what those numbers
Yeah, like
are.
I mean, on the marketing side, that's always going to be like what you're going to struggle with in terms of trying to push for an activation. So like with a digital activation, like your live streams or your like Summer Games Fest or whatever,
Yeah.
you can say to your leadership team, all right, we had 450,000 concurrent viewers. They saw this live stream. We made sure that they saw this like our segment of whatever, right? Like then from there you can track, hey, like this is how many impressions we got on social media, this is how much press picked it up, whatever. When you go to a trade show or like an in-person activation, it's harder to track like that physical thing. Like you'll probably be able to
Oh,
track
for
still like
sure.
the live stream if you're doing a live stream, but if like let's say you just have a booth, like you're an indie studio, you have a booth there, like are you counting how many people like go to your booth? Like there's a lot of things that are intangible that
There's a
you
lot of
can
gray
track.
area too. Like
Correct.
people just walk by, like, oh yeah, that person, they're
Like
doing that. Maybe we should check it out later. And maybe you
right.
do, maybe you
So then
don't.
you're buying $10,000 worth of signage. You can't track how many times people have seen that signage.
Yeah.
Well, compared to a digital activation, and then let's say you paid IGN to get like what do you call it, impression ads, you can track how many people have seen those.
Yeah.
Right. So like
It's much
tough.
more trackable.
Right. But
Yeah.
I think there is something about like that experience and the intangibility yet. It's just really hard to convince your leadership team, hey, let's do X, Y, and Z when everything's still kind of up in the air.
Yeah.
And like calls on those get made like 6 months or like a year in advance, especially of depending on how big you want to go for a place. Because you're also trying to set up meetings and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully 2023 will be the year we hoped 2022 is going to be.
You and me, 2023, right? We're going to E3.
Japan.
E3.
Or E3.
Yeah.
Sure. All the above. I'm down. That'd be so much fun. Cool. Next piece. FromSoftware's next game is in the final stages of development. Elden Ring director Hidetaka Miyazaki revealed that the studio's next game is already in the final stage of development, and they have another game that they're working on too. So there's one that's almost done, and there's one that is in development.
I think it's Armored Core.
So yeah, there were some leaks last year that a new Armored Core game was in the works, which is FromSoftware's Mech Battle series. Kind of like the series they worked on before Dark Souls, Demon Souls.
It was kind of like their
genre
big cash cow until they transition into like their Souls games.
Yeah. So I was gonna ask what game you're hoping to see.
Armored Core.
Armored Core.
Yeah.
I'd heard of it, obviously. And it's cool that like From Software's becoming like this huge studio.
Yeah.
Or maybe not huge, just very reputable. Because from Armored Core, like maybe people knew Armored Core, maybe they didn't, but like no one really knew about FromSoftware.
Yeah.
But now FromSoftware's name is like it's up there with like Insomniac. I
Right.
feel like it's up there with like Ubisoft, Activision Blizzard. So it's great to see. But I had to look at like gameplay from Armored Core. It looks really cool.
Yeah. It's like
It
super
looks like
interesting.
those Gundam games that Bandai Namco makes, except
But
these are actually
better.
probably good because From Software games seem to be, at least the Souls games like Sekiro, Bloodborne, they're all like really polished
Yeah.
and they have like a nice identity and gameplay loop to them. So, given how this looked like I would totally be down to play an
Yeah,
Armored
like I
Core.
think like my favorite part about the Armored Core games is just like the building of your mech. So like there's so many different parts you can change and like make him look different and like that make him function differently and play differently. And I'm kind of really excited to see what the next step of that is going to look like.
Jelly.
Oh.
Wrong tube. Continue. You're doing great.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I Armored Core sounds good. I mean, I would love to do another Souls game. Like
Yeah. Sekiro 2, baby.
I'm curious to see what you think. Like, do you want all of the any other Souls game to be open world? Like, is it like in your head? Do you all want them to be open world? Like, let's say Sekiro happens, like Sekiro 2 happens. Do you want Sekiro 2 to be open world?
Okay, so firstly, I think the next game, or the one that's in final stage of development, probably is Armored Core.
Yeah.
Which is great. But do I want to see all other Souls games open world? No. I think open world fatigue is so real. Like, can you imagine? Well, I mean, I guess you did this. You did Horizon into Elden Ring. I feel like I can't do that. It's just too much exploration, too much like I need to be paying attention to my surroundings, too many things to collect.
More interesting question. Do you think Elden Ring would be a better game if it was traditionally paced like a Souls game?
I mean, that's hard because in Elden Ring's DNA and its blood is the open world sense of it. But I'm really impressed with Elden Ring, like the Souls plus open world. I think it was perfect.
Yeah.
Well, okay, no, it's not perfect, but it was the best Souls game.
Yeah. Because I was talking to someone last night about like what do you call Elden Ring, and he brought up some really interesting points and some good points. Like he's a huge Souls fan, and he just thinks that what do you call it? The open world like kind of ruined the game for him. And,
really?
Yeah, so like what that means, because like he wanted to like go into every nook and cranny. Like he went into Caelid, and obviously like he was super underleveled. So then he went to Stormville, like he went to Lunaria, like Stormville Castle, like south of Stormville, whatever that castle is. Then he went to Lunaria of Lakes. Then he did like Ronnie's castle or whatever, and then he went to what do you call it? Mounts. I forgot the fire castle. I forgot the name.
Volcano Manor.
Yeah, Volcano Manor. Then he went into Caelid, and then he was really excited.
That's basically what I did.
Right. So I was super excited because everyone was like really hyping up like Radon. It was like, Radon's a really tough boss and whatever. He one-shotted it, and then he was disappointed. Because like he didn't get like I think like there's like something about Souls players that really push for that challenge and really push for that like sense of accomplishment of getting beaten to the ground and getting like overcoming that fight. And so like when he hears his friends saying, oh wow, this is like a really hard boss, like this is one of the walls that you need to face in the game, and then when you get there, because you're so over leveled and you're overpowered, and because it's designed where everything's open world and you go there, like he kind of felt let down.
Yeah. So I will say, I was also really disappointed with Radon. And like there are a lot of fights where I just like I steamrolled them.
Yeah.
That's just the idea with the levels, right?
Yeah.
Like. And it's to make the game more accessible. Like, if you do feel like this is way too tough, here's the boss level. Like, you can just, surpass that by grinding, doing a different area, whatever. I think it's fine. I think, like, the atmospheres, the environment is so great. The boss designs are, like, off the charts.
Right.
They're the best that the series ever had. And I still had those encounters where the bosses beat me in the ground.
Yeah.
So, like, I still had a challenging experience. I think that's a valid Valid piece of criticism, though. But it personally did not bother me.
Yeah. I kind of disagreed with him a little bit. I'm like, I get it. I get why you would be like disappointed at that, but my counterpoint to him as well is that I said was it's about choice, right? Like you can I've known people that completely skipped Volcano Manor, completely skipped Ronnie's quest line, and essentially just went, hey, like I went to Stormvale, I went to Lunaria, I went to the capital, and then just did the end part of the entire game.
Yeah, and then there's like this
and it's way hard because you're not leveled correctly for those fights.
You can cater your playthrough however you want. I guess it's just like sometimes, like with Sekiro, like you don't have a choice. Like that's how the game is gonna be played.
Sekiro was his favorite game, and I said it's because you can't grind up in that game. Right. So like
it checks out.
Like I essentially told him, I'm like, yeah, I mean that's super disappointing, and you want to just do like a boss rush or whatever. But you have that choice of beating the game and doing a new game plus, and then just do the bosses. Like, do the bosses you wanted to do, and I'm sure you'll have a significantly more challenging experience than what you expected, right?
Yeah, it's like the Mimic tier is broken, like, undoubtedly. And so, like, I kind of, like, complained about that, but it's like, well, then I just don't need a summoner.
Correct.
Yeah, so it's all about choice at the end of the day. It gives you the accessibility options. Are you going to use them or are you not? And then... Yeah.
I think what like bugged me, he was just like, oh, it's just poorly designed. And I said, I don't think it's poorly designed. I think it's designed the way they intended it to. You just ended up playing it in a way where it made you significantly stronger. And I think that's the point. I think Elden Ring is the most accessible and the easiest Souls game that you can play. And it's kind of nice to have more normies playing it because they can. Right, they have a lot of choice in how they progress.
Yeah, and it's tough to say, like, because I read a lot online of just like people being like gatekeepers, like, oh man, this is too easy. Bring back, like Dark Souls 1, Sekiro, whatever. And I don't know if that's like even more the case with Elden Ring, because that community is in general like get good.
Right. Well, with that thing too is like if it's too easy for you, then play it in a way that's more difficult.
Put some like Pokemon, right?
Right.
Do Nuzlocke. Do like, same type. Yeah,
no summons. Don't use your shield. Like, don't, like, literally just don't grind. Like, I'm sure you'll get, like, beaten to a pulp. If that's what you wanted.
I agree. You just kind of need to, like, do that on your new Game Plus. But, so yeah, new Armored Core, hopefully. And then, I would love a Sekiro, too. That's, like, the second game.
Do you think I would like Sekiro?
I think you will like it and you'll hate it at the same time because of how challenging it is. But the euphoria you get like after being a boss in Sekiro is just it's awesome. It's so good. Different combat style because you don't dodge.
Yeah.
It's all about parrying attacks.
I don't know. I'm scared. I'll try it out. We'll see.
Is it on PlayStation Plus?
I don't know, but it's probably like $10 at this point. So.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, it's one of my favorite games. We had that in like that Instagram post back when we started this. Definitely still is to this day.
Cool.
So, last piece of news we got Mario movie news. Chris Pratt says,
Yahoo!
"Yippee!" Chris Pratt says Mario's voice has been updated and is unlike anything you've heard in the Mario world.
It's just Chris Pratt's voice
because he's not Italian.
It's just Chris Pratt's voice. He's just talking as if it's Chris Pratt.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's me, Garfield. In an interview, Pratt stated, "I worked really closely with the directors and trying out a few things and landed on something that I'm really proud of and can't wait for people to see and hear. It's an animated voiceover narrative. It's not a live-action movie. I'm not going to be wearing a plumber suit running all over. I'm providing a voice for an animated character, and it is updated and unlike anything you've heard in the Mario world before." So, Ralph, are you looking forward to the Mario movie, which is coming out in April next year?
I kind of am, because I just want to see what garbage truck this Mario movie is going to be like. I mean, I could be completely wrong. Like, realistically, the cast of the Mario movie is kind of stacked. Like,
oh, it's amazing. Like Jack Black on Bowser.
Right.
Seth Rogen on DK.
Right. So, like, it's really hard to frame my mind of what that movie is going to be like when the majority of Mario games are just like, woohoo, Luigi, ah! You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, he's kind of like a silent protagonist.
Right. So, like, Like Peach, I don't even think talks. I think she just goes, you know what I mean? Like, so I don't know.
Audible sigh.
Yeah, so it's hard to kind of gauge what that's going to look like because we have no framework of that, like what that looks
Well,
like.
they're the '90s cartoons.
Yeah, but they're like Yahoo! Luigi!
No, Mario spoke in that. There's one time there was like this a bomb exploded, and then they're having like a pasta dinner, and then so the spaghetti went everywhere, and then Mario's like, "Save the spaghetti! Save the spaghetti!" He's like running around.
That's kind of racist.
I don't know, dude. I saw that, and then it's like core memory of taking
the spaghetti.
It was hilarious. So that I think the movie will be fun.
Yeah.
I'm not
Should
saying
we,
it'll be good or bad. I think it'll be a
Do we
fun
watch it
movie.
together and we do a review of the Mario movie?
Oh my god, let's totally do it.
Yeah.
I'm totally down.
Okay.
It'll be a new segment for sure. But yeah, we gotta watch it together.
Yeah.
Like I think like there's gonna be memes, there's gonna be quips, like it's gonna be a fun movie to watch, 100%.
I think what's just tough about it, right, is that a lot of the cast is they're not voice actors, and like specifically Chris Pratt, and I think like Mario's Jack Black, but like Chris Pratt in particular is just so like not what people would envision as Mario.
Oh no, not at all.
So that like
I'm intrigued.
I'm excited and intrigued. Yeah, it's almost like I'm hoping the Heath Ledger thing happens, like where people were super against Heath Ledger for being like the Joker. And then
I didn't know that was a thing. Actually.
Yeah, like people were so against Heath Ledger because like if you think you thought like, oh, Chris Pratt's gonna like die, I hate you. Like you gave me that look. No, I'm talking about like when Heath Ledger got cast for Joker, everyone was so upset. Like everyone was like, I can't believe they cast this pretty boy. I can't believe they cast this person that only does rom-coms as the Joker. And then Heath Ledger like made them all shut up. Like
yeah.
Like, and I'm kind of curious to see if that's what's going to happen. Or it could be, like, the worst thing in the world. So I'm very excited to see what happens there.
Yeah, I think either way, like, the viewer's going to have a good time.
Yeah.
Which is me and you. So
because, like, counterpoint here, like, freaking Ryan Reynolds was Pikachu. You know what I mean? So, like, you don't expect Pikachu's voice to be Ryan Reynolds. Like that's.
I think overall people liked Detective Pikachu, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like, I thought Ryan Reynolds was a great Detective Pikachu. So like.
Yeah, it was a funny movie.
Like, what do you call it? Like, you would expect like a really high pitched whatever, and it was Ryan Reynolds.
I think one point for the Mario movie, just like this, whatever they're going for with this, is that Nintendo is. They're so protective of like their core brands, their core IPs. So if this was going to be bad,
Nintendo would be like, no.
Yeah,
we're canceling it.
They learned from the previous Mario movie, like we can't do that again. The live action one from the 90s. Oh my god, classic. Do you think that Mario from the 90s live action will make a cameo?
No.
No. I would love that so much.
Nintendo would be like, that movie doesn't exist.
Yeah, right. They're trying to like wipe it from everyone's memory. But yeah, April 2023. We're definitely gonna watch it. And it'll be fun. We will report back. So thank you for sticking around for our 33rd episode of Professionally Casual Gamers. We had a lot of fun hanging out with each other, and we hope you did too. If you have any discussion topics or questions, send it over on professionalcasualgamers@gmail.com or on our Instagram/Twitter, which we always check at Professional Casual Gamers. See you next week, and keep it casual.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Nice.